So, this movie made me really sad. First, I know where this version of Wonder Woman ends up, and it just bothers me that all of the events and journeys that happen in this movie are for nothing. Second, I just don't have a lot to say, which is never a good feeling for a content creator. And third, I just wish I was watching the other Wonder Woman movie. 5 years prior to the main events, Steve Trevor is attacked by mysterious extraterrestrial invaders that we know as parademons. His plane is shot down and he crash lands on the island paradise of Themyscira, where he's revived by Princess Diana and Themyscira's purple healing ray. Yes, that's what they call it. When Trevor is put to death for being an outsider, Diana breaks him out and is exiled from her home in doing so. Once in man's world, Diana is left in the care of Dr. Julia Capitellis and her daughter Vanessa, who grows jealous of the attention her mother is giving her. After some time adjusting to the culture of man's world, she dons a costume and presents herself as Wonder Woman. 5 years later, in present day, Diana is contacted by Julia to find Vanessa, who has become involved in criminal activities which nearly gets her killed. During the ensuing firefight where Diana battles Giganta, who is souped up on a mysterious enhancing drug, Julia is killed. Vanessa blames Diana and runs away to join with the criminal she was working with, Dr. Poison and Dr. Cyber. They implant her with a virus which slowly kills her in exchange for some kick-ass new vulture tech, and she battles Wonder Woman numerous times despite Diana trying to get through to her. They go to Kale Pharmaceuticals to enlist the help of Veronica Kale in the hopes of curing Vanessa, though they soon realize that the only way to cure her is the purple healing ray in Themyscira. Unfortunately, all who exit Themyscira immediately forget where it is, so a quick trip to the Temple of Pasiphae later, they've made a friend, beaten Cheetah, who was there for some reason, and pinpoint Themyscira's location. Unfortunately, the villains found it first. Once they make it past the front barrier, Dr. Cyber and Dr. Poison release their hidden weapon, the monster Medusa, who promptly kills both of them and usurps the role of main villain when she goes gigantic. Wonderful. Wonder Woman is outmatched, but with some help from a reformed Vanessa, she's able to kill the Beast and earn back her mother's respect in the process. Everyone is healed of their ailments using the purple healing ray, Diana is crowned the guardian of Themyscira, Vanessa becomes an Amazon, and Etta Candy, who is in this movie, gets 2 Amazon women to herself. Roll credits. That synopsis took longer to write than my post-watch discussion with my brother. I have almost nothing to say about this movie. It was so incredibly average that it just hurts. I was really hopeful for this one, for it to be another Death of Superman, a really focused character piece on what makes this hero tick. Unfortunately, Wonder Woman herself has next to no arc in this film. I think the problem stems from her being strictly placed in the Paragon role. This is someone like Gandalf or Dumbledore, an older person who is immensely wise and powerful compared to those around them, and who often uses the knowledge and or power they've accrued to help the younger generation. Remember, by this point, Diana is a member of the Justice League. As far as I know, this is the final movie chronologically before Apocalypse War. Any growing that Diana needed to do would have likely been done much earlier in her superhero career. It's Vanessa that serves as the main emotional drive of the film, both in that she's the one that gets the character arc and that she's the main motivation of Diana. This isn't a bad thing in and of itself. After all, Lois Lane is just that to Superman, and that worked out well. But unlike Clark and Lois, Diana and Vanessa aren't treated as equals. This isn't like a Luke and Vader or Adora and Catra. Vanessa is the child of the relationship who is lashing out, and Diana is trying to reason with and help her as the adult. There are parallels drawn between the two as being daughters of mothers who they feel are disappointed by them, but nothing is really done with it because neither of the mothers have any more than 5 minutes of screen time apiece. Diana feeling bad about leaving Themyscira and dishonoring her mother is only brought up on the plane ride leading to the final battle. In the prologue, Diana is so sickeningly confident and stoic that it came as a slap to the face when they skip forward in time and she suddenly becomes an actual character. Remember in the older movie where Diana had to prove herself to leave Themyscira and she had to make like an actual effort to do it, and you know, she had a core desire to see the outside world as her motivation instead of just feeling bad for Steve Trevor, I guess? Speaking of, remember when Steve Trevor had some personality and wasn't as dull as a second coat of paint? Sorry, I'm not supposed to compare the two, I know. But God, I really want to here. Anyway, Steve Trevor and Etta Candy have absolutely no reason to be here. They accomplish nothing except crack jokes, and Trevor has a really forced and rushed romance with Diana that I don't care about, because unlike in the other movie, no time was dedicated to fleshing out either of these two characters. Shit, did it again. Trevor has absolutely no personality in this movie. He's the generically nice guy who's always supportive of the main girl and joins her on her quest. There is something to be said about having a bro for the main cast, but oftentimes they have some other justification for being there, like Sokka from Atla being the idea guy. Trevor doesn't have any true reason to be a part of the action other than as emotional support, which Diana doesn't even really need until the end of the movie, which felt really contrived anyway. As well, there are the usual logical inconsistencies that are par for the course in this catalog. What was the point of the warehouse scene? At the start, it appeared like Vanessa was making first contact with the villain group to sell them an expensive artifact illegally. However, next we see Vanessa is now saying that,
"I'm in. All the way."
Which implies that she was already in on their plans. So then what was the goal of the warehouse scene? Did they know that Julia would go to Wonder Woman for help and that they could then potentially take her out? If so, how? And if not, why have this elaborate setup? If Vanessa was already in on their plans, why not just take the artifact to wherever she is in the next scene? Why would Vanessa blame Diana for the death of her mother, when it was her involvement with the villains that caused her to be put in danger in the first place? Thinking more on it, that could have been a really powerful moment for her to realize that she's culpable for the bad things that have happened to her, rather than her continuing to run away from the truth and blame Diana. See Shifu vs. Tai Lung for a great example of exactly that. Actually, why was Julia there in the first place? Why did she think she would be anything but a liability in this encounter? She specifically went to Wonder Woman because she thought that her daughter was getting involved with dangerous people, and yet she recklessly puts herself in the line of fire? Again, why? This is a world that has the Justice League. Just let them handle it. Cheetah is also in this movie for no reason other than to have a admittedly kick-ass action scene, but then she implies that there's a whole cabal of Wonder Woman villains being juiced up on this enhancement drug and under the employ of Dr. Cyber and Dr. Poison, but she's the only one. Giganta, I guess, is there too, but she was working directly with Dr. Poison, so I'm not sure I count that. Finally, why was Medusa in this movie? She wasn't interesting. She came out of nowhere with only the slightest bit of mention in a throwaway line, and that the artifact is shaped like a snake head, and she just becomes gigantic. That entire final fight is ridiculous, and it plays with her stone gaze so loosely that it lost all tension for me. Though I did like the return of battle damage, which was sorely lacking in many other scenes, including the cheetah fight. The final blow was also a ripoff of the one from the last Wonder Woman movie, with her cutting off the villain's head, but with much less interesting direction this time. Great. And as usual, the direction and animation is inconsistent. Some shots are really good, some shots are really bad. I'm bored of talking about that now. One thing that I will say thoroughly impressed me though is the sound design. For the first time in this catalog's history, at least since The Dark Knight Returns, the punches and sword swings actually sound impressive. Not much else to say on that, but it was a welcome surprise. Take a listen.
His arrival is a sign.
Overall, Wonder Woman Bloodlines was not about Wonder Woman or any kind of bloodline. It was incredibly average, borderline mediocre even. With a dull main plot and cast of characters, it failed to hold much of my interest, and if you couldn't tell, I didn't have much passion for analyzing it either. The most fun I had writing this script was remembering how awesome Kung Fu Panda is, so take that how you will. For now, this is the third to last movie in this video series. I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but I'm stopping after Apocalypse War, because I have to stop somewhere, and that's as good a place as any. We have one movie before we get to it though, so look forward to next week where we take on Superman Red Sun. Yay, another Elseworld story. Woo. I'll see you then.